Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the round of 16 for a Link to the Past Randomizer tournament here at SGL. We have an incredibly exciting match here today for you. Gem versus tstew. Gem is the second place winner of last year's SGL, certainly looking, according to his file name, to advance much more further to the finals. This is tstew's first appearance in SGL, certainly not going to make Gem's life easy, and certainly going to make his own headway into the brackets. My name is Clear Mouse. I am joined today by Korek. Korek, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited for this matchup. We got a great matchup. Gem needs no introduction, but I guess we're going to give him one anyway. Like you mentioned, he placed second last year in the SG Live tournament. In the SpeedGaming 2018 tournament, he was the winner. He's looking for three great performances in a row in the money tournament. But tstew, great runner in his own right, is looking to dash Gem's dreams. So really good matchup here.
Yeah, I see the dashing part because we get to start with boots today. So it doesn't matter what they're gonna do from minute 0. They can dash to their heart's content.
Yeah, absolutely. Boots just happen to be, the best item in the game, and we have that as our starting item here. Now, they're like the S tier item in Link to the Past, but like until you get that sword, they're maybe like S minus tier. You really need that sword to make them really fun.
Today I learned there's an S minus tier.
I mean, it's just like a tiny bit below,
Yeah, so also, do you have a preference here, Korek? Starting out with the sword versus starting out with boots? Yeah, I feel like there are 4 swords out there that you can find, right? But there's only 1 pair of boots.
Yeah. Definitely start with the boots, but why not both?
Why not? Why not also start, and escape? All right, so it looks like runners are kicking off. Both are going to start in Sanctuary, finding a nice mushroom.
Yeah, that's a nice early item. I think, Gem likes to turn in the mushroom as soon as possible, so he's going to set up a little water walk over here to just jump on over and get it turned in. Meanwhile, tstew checking the standard route with the bonk rocks.
That's getting a little bullet here by the guards.
That's why you need a sword.
Yes, I absolutely agree. All right, looks like just 5 rupees here in bonk rocks. Nothing too exciting. But tstew's going to take some of the more traditional route that we've seen with a lot of runners, heading out from Sanctuary, getting some resource farming here, killing an enemy and getting a tier 1 tree pull, checking Lumberjack, and then heading off to Lost Woods.
Yep, and Gem finds himself some bombs from the witch, so not any progression, but it pretty useful in the early game, so nice to find.
Yeah, 3 bombs for Kakariko always means that you don't have to go farm for bombs anymore. You can just go right ahead and use all 3 to your heart's content. Got a quick map check from Gem. Looks like crystals at Hera and Eastern with a red pendant and desert.
Yep, we also saw Lumberjack, and that is just a piece of heart, as well as a Lost Woods item, so still looking for that next progression.
You mean to tell me that a piece of heart is not progression? Or
I mean, it can help you find your next progression, but probably not.
Oh no, Gem. Looks like he just quite actually missed the buzz blob for that sign. The tier 1 tree pull is only heart, so Gem won't be too punished for this, but sure, it's not the greatest feeling. And he already has bombs. Yeah, meanwhile, we can actually see that tstew is using a little bit of game knowledge. He did not end up being able to farm any bombs early on from his resources, but there is 100% bombs in those bonk rocks right next to the fortune teller.
Yep, picking up 1 on his way to Kakariko. Sometimes you'll see some runners pick up a couple there just to be safe, but tstew just trying to split the difference here, getting his first checks, and probably figures he can buy bombs if he doesn't find any in here.
Yeah, speaking of which, we got some nice goodies in Blind's hideout already. We found a nice bow for Crystal Eastern. Definitely can see that being a target for our runners after Kakariko, and a ton more money. So he can afford Bottle Vendor, never has orphan that. He can afford bombs. He's pretty close to Zora money too.
Yeah, lots of money there. also getting that bow. We did see from Jem's map check that Eastern is a crystal, so I wouldn't be surprised to see both of our runners head over that direction after Kakariko.
A little exploration here for the well. Oh yeah, as you see, tstew ended up getting pretty fortunate with that bomb pickup because he was actually out of bombs, and he was able to use those bombs to see the back, and picking up a mirror as well from the well. Mirror is very excellent mobility between light and dark worlds. Certainly will come in handy. Not super useful right now, but we can do some minor glitches for mirror deletion or mirror block deletion. So if they end up ever kind of pushing out a block in the overworld, you can kind of see them trying to delete the block. We might see this actually in South Shore when they go visit the dam.
Yeah, it's a useful save of a screen, and Jem decides to, throw away a bomb.
No, I thought he never liked the water over there anyway. He probably just wants some flippers or something. Speaking of which, Korek, I hear that you are, you know Jem actually pretty well. You're like some sort of league mate or teammate of his. Hopefully you will remain unbiased through this commentary run.
Well, we'll see what I can do. I mean, we do see tstew picking up the Ether Medallion there in the library. Very nice early item, but kind of useless until we have that sword that I keep talking about.
Yeah, maybe if you just say sword frequently enough, they're actually going to go pick it up. Alright, we did see nothing at race game. tstew kind of checking things out. So saving quitting, most likely this is going to be a run towards South Shore, or maybe over ahead to Sahashla and Eastern Palace.
And it's interesting to note that tstew did not pick up extra bombs before leaving Kakariko. I wonder if he's going to grab some here. Yeah. So I guess since he knew he was going towards Eastern, he thought maybe check the island and grab the bombs on the way over here. Pretty nice routing decision.
Yeah, early knowledge is really nice because, I mean, this case, for example, both runners end up checking Lumberjack. It turns out in this particular seed, there's nothing important there, but if there were something important to on the Lumberjack, that means that runners probably have to do Ag 1 relatively, maybe sooner rather than later. And to have that knowledge over your opponent is actually very valuable. Oh no, what's happening with this fog wall? Having a little bit of trouble there, getting to the back of the closet, but picking up flippers and a lamp. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely glad that, I'm sure they're both glad that they've got the early rupees now that they're picking up the flippers, because with no glove and now with the flippers, it's much more difficult to get to Zora money. But also with Eastern, we might see the runners go towards the rupee room in the back. There are 90 rupees there. They might just gamble on South Shore holding the rest of the rupees for them, though.
Yeah, as you see here, as you kind of mentioned before, that these runners would really like to find that sword so they can keep dashing, but we can actually see some really nice bow strats both on tstew and Gem's side, firing an arrow preemptively to try and kind of counter some of the enemies. Alright, we're inching slowly towards that 500 mark here. The nice thing about the lamp too is that this makes Eastern Palace completely in logic in that they can get to the vanilla big key chest because of that lamp. So they no dark rooms for our runners today, and most importantly, they have that fire source if they need it.
Yeah, a lot of the times with an early bow, people think more pod than Eastern, just because there are usually more items locked by the bow in pod than in Eastern. But here, we might end up seeing some progression on Armos because we are setting up early with those items, and we still need quite a few things to get to the Dark World.
Yeah, and certainly given the caliber of these runners, being here in Eastern on only 5 hearts is more than doable for them. Especially if they don't have to do dark rooms. Alright, nothing so far here in Eastern. We've got 50 rupees, we've got a map and the compass. Which means it looks like we're gonna make a visit, probably pick up some arrows, maybe not, to the vanilla big key chest.
Yep, 22 arrows should be enough. They can always pick up some upstairs in the first room, 2 easy pots to grab, so they're probably feeling pretty good about arrows, especially if they just drop right in your path like that.
Luck is a skill these days. You know, these runners don't even need quick swap. They just stay on this bow and just keep firing. They don't have to switch to anything else. Also nice. Not that they really have anything else really to switch to, I guess. Maybe the lamp. Alright.
And Tstew having a little bit of trouble with the damage boost for the big key, but he got it out of there, grabbing it a heart just to get him back up to a safe level for the back here.
Yeah, certainly at really any stage, the most painful thing for both these runners is probably going to be dying, because that is going to be time that you really can't give back to your opponent. Meanwhile, it looks like we have potentially some progression there. Tstew picking up a bee with the bottle with the bee in it in the big chest. So this is another something that they could turn into Sick Kid when they go back to Kakariko.
Yeah, getting a bottle when you're looking for Dark World access and have already done Kakariko is always a little bit of an eye roll moment. You just hope that it's not required until you're more conveniently heading back to Kakariko, but sometimes that can be the one thing you're looking for.
Yeah, this game, I've noticed, doesn't really care about your convenience or preferences. If there's some location of progression that's out of the way for you, the game won't care. You're gonna have to go there regardless. Oh no, Tstew. These red Igors sometimes don't cooperate that well.
Yeah, double readies is not my favorite room either, so I feel that pain.
Alright, looks like Tstew's ready to take on Armo's gonna get the quick heal. Looks like a lower right corner setup. Gem's gonna do slightly different. I think he normally likes to go top right. But gets it done pretty well. Hey, look at that! We've got some progression and a really good reason now to go back to Kakariko.
Yep, we got that flute, which is a great item, improves your mobility, opens up a little bit of Death Mountain. Now, our runners probably won't rush to Death Mountain with that because they do have the mirror, but they don't have any way to kill our favorite worm at the top of Tower of Hera yet. So I do expect them to be doing South Shore, maybe looking for that sword before that. But yeah, that flute, great mobility item, great to have early.
Yeah, so far, and also our runner is just taking similar rounds, just pretty neck and neck, really. I think the only real difference between our two runners is Gem took a little bit of extra time to go turn in the mushroom. Otherwise, we're pretty even.
Yeah, and obviously Gem couldn't have known it at the time, but that's going to work out a little bit better for Tstew in that he can just flute right there. But it's not going to be too much of a difference overall.
Yep, Tstew very well. Remembering that he still needs to turn into Kid, but he's going to be the first of our two runners here to activate that flute. Gem right behind him. Somewhat curious to actually hear if, because you can actually see like Tstew kind of like mouthing or talking to himself. I'm always really curious to see what the runners are thinking. Oh, Gem, giving us some additional knowledge. Oh, I really like this. Is that bee in the bottle was actually a good bee. He managed to sell it for 100 rupees to the bottle vendor. So this actually puts him at Zora money for sure.
Yeah, really heads up play. Make sure he has that money for Zora. Like I mentioned before, no real easy way to Houlihan. There are some bonk setups, but they're a little bit more time consuming. And not everybody knows them, but now he has his money and, even if nothing shows up, he doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, maybe visiting South Shore there. We don't have the hammer quite yet, but we do end up picking up a powder, so this opens up an additional magic bat check. I guess another reason for us to go back to Kakariko. But at least we have the flute, so going back is a little bit nicer. Alright, meanwhile, I guess we still don't have a sword, but tstew doing a pretty good job here, killing the mini Moldorms here with just bombs and arrows.
Yep, and he picks up money, so even though Jem had that heads-up play, they're both going to have plenty of money to full clear Zora's domain. I do expect them to do that very soon. They might end up checking Ice Rod Cave first, though.
Alright, tstew, because he found the powder, he has no more reason to keep the mushroom. We're going to turn this in immediately, and as we said earlier, he has the flute, so he's going to save a little bit of time over Jem to get to the witch's hut.
And they are basically in sync right now.
yeah, in sync, same move, same destination. You can also see that our runners are both also taking advantage of Quick Swap, not having to open up the menu to switch through items in order to get to bombs.
Yeah, it's a really welcome addition to the normal rando, in my opinion. We've been playing with it in Enter and Shuffle for quite some time now, and just really within the past couple months, it's become the standard in all of Randomizer, and could be happier myself.
Oh yeah, no, it's super efficient, and actually just also really just nice to be able to play with. Just also feels just really convenient on the controls. Alright, meanwhile, you know, taking advantage of those slippers, setting up a water walk here for both our runners, going to check this kind of out of the way location for Hobo. Having the flippers, this check is absolutely in logic. Holy cow! Finding a nice hammer to get us one step closer to our Dark World access.
Yeah, really nice find. And we're going to see which is faster, fluting back to 8 or swimming. So here you go. This is a nice demonstration for you.
Thank you, tstew and Jem. Yeah, actually, speaking of which, with that hammer pickup, so that is a permanent weapon. So this actually might make their trip to Death Mountain a little bit more appealing.
Well, absolutely. I expect that to be the next destination for both of our runners as soon as they clear out the Zora's domain here.
Alright, Jem, and in addition to tstew, is trying to get some freebies here from the Waterfall Fairy. A red potion, always nice to have. Alright, nothing here on Zora's Ledge. I mean, unless these guys are really, really strapping for cash here, but with 600 and 871, I don't really foresee that to be an issue. Although tstew, if he does want to make a trip over to Pod, he is actually 9 rupees short of entry, assuming he saves it towards the Island of Zora.
Yeah, it's probably a safe bet that between Death Mountain and, well, East Death Mountain as well, they'll pick up a few rupees. But hey, you never know.
Alright, at least Zora gave us a heart container for our troubles, as opposed to a heart piece or a single, so, you know, I won't say it's necessarily 500 the best spent, but it certainly probably isn't the worst spent. Alright, we have our first bit of divergence here from both our runners. tstew is taking that flute with that hammer straight up to Death Mountain, gonna rush the old man. Meanwhile, Jem is gonna pay our our uncle a visit, getting 10 arrows for his trouble, and some bombs.
Yeah, and this is something else that Jem likes to do, and I prescribe to this theory as well, is that as soon as you get a permanent weapon, you know, maybe go clear out the front of escape. Sometimes you're not entirely sure whether your opponent goes for the uncle route. Now, the uncle route is much less common in casual boots. Ooh. tstew.
Oh no! Did he get dead rocked and bouldered? Oh no!
That's one of my other favorite parts of this game is Death Mountain.
How many favorite parts of this game do you have, Karek?
Oh, so many.
Oh. But at least, luckily, that death wasn't too costly for TC since he already did rescue the old man, so it's just save and quit pretty much just a little bit more extra time.
Yeah, but as I was saying about the front of escape here, Jem generally likes to come in here as soon as he has like a permanent weapon and nothing that, you know, it would make sense to like put it off, because for the front of escape is something that you can end up putting off for a very long time, and it's just one of those things that Jem thinks, you know, get it out of the way, more for a safety perspective than anything else.
Yeah, I certainly have seen this in many races, in that the longer you put off escape, the less likely you're actually going to go back for it, because, as you said, like, eventually we're going to find Dark World access, and there's so much more stuff for us to explore, and the likelihood or appealing, or like the appeal of coming back to escape after so long is just not there anymore. I had also forgotten that neither runner so far has a glove, so going through Dark Crosshair is going to be in logic because we have our lantern. It looks like we actually don't have a small key, so unless the small key here is in Dark Cross, we're gonna have to wait for a glove to get to the back of the escape.
Yeah, and I'm sure Jem is hoping for some value here because he hasn't found any progression yet in his escape trip.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a time sink, but tstew may do it at some point later.
I unfortunately have not tracked how many items have actually gotten out of Hera. Does this mean we have to go make a trip to the basement?
Well, that's a great question. I am also not entirely sure.
Sorry, I certainly didn't mean to put you on the spot. But like, I think I remember seeing a big key, and I just saw a small key. So hopefully, I guess we'll see whether or not tstew decides to stay in the tower or heads elsewhere. Meanwhile, Jem, being a better player than certainly me, remembers that with that hammer, he unlocks magic back, gets Bombo's first trouble. Again, as you said earlier, just with like Ether, it's a really nice medallion, gives us entrance potentially to Ice Palace, but they still need a sword in order to be able to use these medallions.
We saw tstew clear up the Moldorm fight and got half magic, which, while not progression, is always a welcome item to have.
Thanks, Jem. Alright, Jem successfully delivering the old man through this cave, this perilous cave through the bats. Hopefully he'll have better luck with the dead rocks and boulders for Death Mountain.
Yeah, just a casual flying old man over here.
It's this good luck charm. Meanwhile, tstew looks like leaving Tower of Hera. Alright, it looks like according to our grid tracker, Cyber Shadow X, it was half magic was the second item, so hopefully, so that means no Hera basement today. We can probably get a confirmation on Gem's side. Meanwhile, tstew needs to be a little careful getting through Spiral Cave. We see even more dangers of not having that sword, correct, in order to dash through these really perilous enemies.
Yeah, and tstew wisely here. It is a little bit faster screen transition-wise to go in the other entrance of Paradox Cave, but on 2 hearts, he is actually an Oko as far as those Tektites are concerned. So, yeah, good decision to take an extra screen and stay alive.
I hear staying alive is a good idea. Hey, alright, more money, and most importantly, we got that glove. So all we need now is a moon pearl, and we can head over to the other world. Hey, speaking of which, we can head over now to the other world. Maybe we'll find our mitts up here, and then we could just clear all of Dark Death Mountain as well. Guess not.
Yep, but tstew electing to just save and quit out of there. He does have the flute, but he would have to finish killing those Moldorms with the weapons he has, which doesn't seem very appealing. So save and quit, very quick option here.
tstew showing us and confirming here that with the gloves we can get very quickly into the back of escape for 3 items. Oh no, we know there's a small key over here. And we already saw the map, so 2 more items back here. Well, we found a unique item, at least.
Yeah, and looks like tstew's going to be grabbing the map too, so at least that part is not going to end up being a time loss for Gem. And knowing that this is the map then, it probably increases the chance that tstew does the front of escape, because he will know that there are 3 items waiting for him.
Yeah, I assume if he wants to do the front of escape, he is going to save and quit out, potentially, because he hasn't done Uncle yet either, right?
Right, yeah. With the items they have a lot of early routing options for the Dark World. A lot of runners still like to do Village of Outcasts first, but we might get like Hype Cave into Pyramid and the front of escape. That's always a nice efficient route.
I had forgotten about the mirror and Pyramid and front of escape. Yes, that would actually be really efficient. I am curious if tstew wants to kind of put that off, before, if he can try and like maybe wait for the fire run and clear out the 5-6 crystals before heading over.
Yeah, that's also a very good option. It depends, what he normally routes and what he's feeling about this seed. Knowing that the East Town is a crystal, that makes that dungeon very appealing now. And oh, nice hype. We got some hype here.
We found myths here.
Yeah, so I do think that even if tstew was originally thinking maybe Pyramid and front of escape, that this would potentially lead him towards Village of Outcasts, and it does look like he's going that way.
Oh yeah, and this will actually be really efficient here for tstew because he has the mirror. Well, he and Gem both have the mirror because they found it pretty early on. He can check the mirror checks here, go to K45, is a Stumpy, and because he has the myths, he can, once he's actually finished with the game, he can just go straight up to the Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, this is one of the greatest ways to get the Smith chain in, because you basically don't really have to backtrack any screens. It just routes so smoothly.
Oh yeah, and in addition, I think this actually might be a little bit more of a time gain on tstew's side over Gem, is he can also check magic back. Because I think Gem made a separate trip over to Kakariko specifically for that.
Yeah, that's true. He can just route that in with the Smith turn in and getting the purple chest and everything over there.
Alright, 26-ish minutes in. Man, Gem is really getting bullied here by these mini Waldorms. I'm hoping that... Wait, did he use... Oh wait, maybe he got a heart refill because... or something, but it's really hoping that these runners find a sword sooner rather than later.
And Gem is checking that back of escape to finish off his light world checks, and tstew going for that Smith chain.
Yeah, Gem's gonna, pick up his unique item of disappointment and a little bit more money.
Yep, so I think Gem's going to basically be trailing in tstew's footsteps for the foreseeable future, but at the same time, Gem does have the front of escape done. So if at any point tstew decides that that's the check he wants to do next, that I would expect these routes to converge.
Luckily, with 572 rupees, tstew has more than enough money to pay off 10 rupees in order to get his prize from the Smith. I think we got 3 bombs from the bottle vendor as well, so really we should always just go to the Smiths for our bombs, right?
Yeah, it's a great idea. Much better return.
Jem picking up his gloves here from Hype Cave. Or sorry, his mitts. Yeah, so I'll see here. Still hoping for that sword. Jem is ardently dashing through, hoping that he avoids enemies, but we can actually see that his dashes are always cut short whenever he gets hit. Alright, tstew looks like he's picking up the purple chest. Does this somewhat imply that he's gonna go south then? Instead of north, I guess, towards Thieves Den?
Yeah, with the items he has, the way I would normally route this is pick up that purple chest and then go mirror right in front of Thieves Town, flute, turn in the purple chest, and then flute right back to your portal so you can, just go right into Thieves Town.
Oh man, that's so clever. That's very efficient. It's like you might have played the game once or twice, Clark.
Perhaps. And we did see the pickup of the cape there in the hammer peg, so that could also come in useful here.
Yeah, I guess that's our first invisibility item. So I guess invisibility item and invincibility item both. So that should actually put its spike cape in logic for whenever we go back to the mountain.
Yep, in addition to Bumper Cave, which not always the favorite check of our runners, but it's there and it can have an item. So
yes, I forgot about Bumper Cave. Yeah, so actually, I know that at least the northern part of Dark World isn't super appealing for runners because it's just kind of out of the way. But yeah, maybe this will kind of further incentivize them. They have the mirror. And so they can check Bumper Ledge, they can check Graveyard Ledge, they can go to King's Tomb, and could also make a visit to our friendly fish, Catfish.
Yeah, we do have that Crystal Palace of Darkness. So it's very interesting when you have the flute. Normally, most runners like route in the pyramid and maybe Catfish with Palace of Darkness when they don't have the flute, but when they do, they sometimes tend to forget that those places exist. So you're right. You can have a nice loop route here where you go through Catfish and Pyramid and then go for Pot. But it'd be interesting to see if our runners do that thorough route or just go directly towards the spot.
Yeah, meanwhile, tstew picking up a nice piece of progression here, which is the Fire Rod. This will be really useful for Skull Woods if only we had a sword to cut the curtain in the back in order to beat the dungeon.
Yeah, getting the Fire Rod when you don't have the sword yet is pretty awkward in open mode with no weapon to get to the back there, because it is a crystal dungeon. And that Fire Rod can actually block your progression in the other chests in the back, but still, you don't necessarily want to go there until you find that sword.
Yeah, and actually, I had forgotten to mention this earlier when both runners ended up doing hammer pegs. So normally, sometimes you've seen other runs, you can see items taking advantage of the Japanese 1.0 glitch, which is item dashing, and you can see them kind of like dashing with the hammer through those pegs. But you actually notice that both runners ended up kind of doing it the slower walking way, and the reason why is that in order to item dash, you need a sword. It's all these just kind of like little things that really make you miss the quality of life you're used to, and you don't realize until you don't have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And now both of our runners are in Thieves Town. Obviously, tstew's a bit ahead in the dungeon, but nothing too exciting yet. But it is a crystal. The tricky part, I guess, is doing it with hammer, but I think our runners can handle it.
Alright, so... Oh no. Did that bomb explode? And the ceiling of Thieves Town on tstew. It looked not exploded, but but maybe like my eyes are just playing tricks on me.
I think you might be right. I didn't see it.
I definitely saw the bomb explode. I just did not see the black that followed the bomb explosion.
Yeah, I think So again, they don't have a sword, right? And sometimes moving in that room with the crickets when you're on green mail, you just do movements that are a little bit off from what you're used to, just to stay safe. And it might have just been that he threw the bomb in from a different spot than he was used to doing. But yeah, I think he missed. So this is rather unfortunate.
Well, at least he's going to find out sooner rather than later. I guess that's something that I guess I personally didn't kind of realize that even without us so yeah, all the muscle memory or all the cues or visual cues that you have, I guess you just kind of assume that you have the sword at this point, right?
Yeah, I think I think if you don't run the game, you don't necessarily understand that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, tstew. Sorry. Oh wait, is he? Oh no. Oh no, tstew.
Ooh.
Oh, I guess he just doesn't want to do the dungeon again right now. All right, that's fine. I mean, he can come back, but so actually, tstew just demonstrated. What I found out the hard way the very first time that I played this game, vanilla, is that when you mirror and then exit the dungeon with the maiden goes back to her cell because she doesn't like the sunlight.
Yeah, and that actually would happen also if you brought her upstairs. So she was going to go back anyway, regardless.
Oh, really?
But,
okay.
Yeah. But what I was saying is the sword is more a defensive item than an offensive item for a lot of rooms in this game, especially in the randomizer, where you might not have set ways to execute in some situations, because you open chests in randomizer where you wouldn't in a vanilla speedrun. So the sword just helps you stay safe, and when you don't have it, it's more you're missing the defense than the offense.
So I was too busy watching tstew's side to notice whether or not Gem also bombed the floor. I'm certainly hoping that's the case. I guess we're going to find out here very shortly. And assuming he does bomb the floor, we're going to have a nice treat here for a hammer blind. Alright, I see sunlight, which is really good. Correct, do you know how many hits blind takes with the hammer? Asking for a friend.
Blind takes as many hits with the hammer as any other weapon that hits blind, which would 3 per cycle, 9 total.
All right, well, I'm really glad to know. Yeah, that fire shield is really kind of paying off here for Gem. Alright, so it's still relatively staying on script, but it looks like, with hammer, and no sword movement is a little bit wonkier, but Gem here at 36 minutes claims our 3rd crystal. More importantly, also 5-6. So presumably with that fire rod, he, well, actually, is he going to go for the North Steel Skull Woods? He might end up doing what tstew did and kind of checking out the front.
Yeah, like I said, it's somewhat of an awkward check. So he might just elect to not worry about it right now. He looks to be grabbing here. He might be ending his route with the purple chest and instead checking out, say, the Mire area. You have Mire Shed and Checkerboard Cave and maybe the Front Appended Desert.
That's right, actually.
Or he could also do Pod, so...
Hey, that's right, we have, actually, I registered they pick up the myths, but it didn't quite register how many options he has open to him, right? He has hammer, he has the bow, he has myths. Looks like we're going to Pod first. Yeah, he has quite a plethora of crystal dungeons he can clear, or at least options to explore.
So the one thing we got from Thieves Town, the info on Gem's side, is that Blind did drop a compass. So if I were to guess, I think tstew left Thieves Town because he got all 4 items. He would have to do a hammer blind fight. So the only reason why he would have to do it right that moment would be if the Pyramid Fairy has progression gated behind it. Otherwise, you can just do it in go mode later with presumably better equipment for it. Obviously, he does have to travel back to the dungeon, but it's probably a wise decision, especially if you, like, when you realize you made a mistake like that, you probably are not in the best emotional state. So doing hammer blind in that state may not be the best decision.
Everything you said sounds totally reasonable. Alright. So I think I didn't actually quite catch what was in Graveyard Ledge, but I assumed it was nothing since tstew didn't end up picking it up, and likewise for our catfish friends. Alright, meanwhile, Gem here, still hoping for that sword here in Pod. We've got 5 items as potential. But more importantly, this is a clearable crystal dungeon. Furthering our route divergence here from our runners. tstew not even bother checking the medallion yet for Pendant Mire, but gonna give us a visit to the Mire Shed.
Yeah, this is a pretty good check just because I don't think either of our runners want to, necessarily dip into Pendant Mire, and they probably don't want to kill Landmo. So everything he really wants to do in this seed to check for items, he can do it right now. So there's no reason not to do it unless you expect to get go mode long before coming here.
Now, do you think it's potentially worth some time in order to check out the front of Desert?
It depends. I think coming here this early, I probably would, because it seems like a big risk not to, but tstew is electing to skip it here. Because I guess from my perspective, if you don't check it now, you're just going to last location, which is fine. That's a perfectly valid decision to make, but I am much more risk averse than some runners out there.
All right, I think that's totally fair. I mean, it's always kind of the dream that, right, you never have to dip a pendant dungeon. That's certainly Gem's
absolutely.
dream.
Yes, it's always a nice dream. Certainly different than my experience in the tournament. But hey, actually, I don't think I had to dip a lot of those anyway. So Gem is going to the back of Pod here, looking for all the items for progression.
Yeah, we did see a big key in the front, so at least he's going to be able to check the big chest here. Alright, meanwhile, it looks like tstew is going to kind of follow Gem's footsteps, going to check out the front of Pod, or at least you're trying to get a clear Pod. And I think you mentioned before, by the time that tstew visited Zora to the time he's visiting, oh no, Pod! He has amassed more than the 10 rupees requisite he needs to gain entry. I guess it would be the 20 rupees at that point, since, he ended up getting hit with the monkey. Some nice dodging of the turtles there on Gem's side.
Yeah, I think we can see from tstew, he is kind of frustrated right now. He is not far behind, and he has done a lot of checks that Gem might end up doing anyway, simply because we haven't really seen progression yet. So I hope he can, pull it together here. If he, executes well and makes the right choice, he is absolutely not out of this. He's just a few minutes behind in Pod. So hopefully we can get this frustration under control, and we can, see some nice decisions going forward.
Well, he is smiling. I hope that's a good smile and not a panic smile.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell. But
That's kind of actually one really nice benefit, I think, through all of SGL is every runner in this case has a webcam on them, and it really actually makes, I think, a really big difference in terms of viewing and kind of seeing the runners' reactions for whenever something happens.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see Gem making his way to Helmasaur. Now, the new hotness with Helmasaur is Spin Speed Helmasaur. But
we're 2.5 minutes in, and what were you saying about a sword going?
Yeah, it turns out for Spin Speed Helma, you actually need to be able to spin, which our runners cannot do.
I mean, so I can definitely see this seed going where we end up finding a fighter sword and we end up clearing a bunch of dungeons and then we have to be in sword go mode. I can also see that the seed just tells you that you're going to be swordless for like an hour and 15 minutes and then suddenly give you 3 swords at once.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of seeds like that. But, you know, sword go mode is always pretty terrible, so I would expect, given the way these seeds have gone in SG Live, that we're going to be in go mode except for a sword. And yeah.
Yeah, and given that I also see from, according to our tracker, that Eternal Rock is a crystal today, I also see the very much lack of Ice Rod in our players' inventory, so, you know, if it's not going to be Sword Go mode, it's going to be Ice Rod Go mode, probably.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of really fast seeds throughout this tournament, but our runners still need a hook shot, they need an Ice Rod, they need 2 swords, they need a Cane of Samaria.
Oh,
so...
Correct, your list is too long. And we're already like 40 minutes in, and there's like still like at least 3 or 4 items.
Yeah, it's rather it's a bit of an odd seed in that regard. It seems items seem to be pretty late. It's not even like an Aga seed or anything, but the items are just being a little bit rough to find. So we do see Gem leaving pod, and looks like he's doing that Mire area check.
I actually do like this rounding from Gem. You know, as you said earlier, you know, certainly the hope is not to dip pendant dungeons, but kind of sounds like there's some uncertainty of whether or not you want to dip the front of Desert. And I guess like going to pod over when there's a clearable crystal dungeon maybe gives you a little bit more information for whether or not you want to make the decision to dip.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is like the power of information. A lot of the way that Gem routes is to, you know, make sure his decisions are as informed as they can be. Whenever he is making a decision that is something that nobody wants to do, he tries to do it with the most information possible. So this is, I think, what you alluded to here is he's done pod, he's done all the crystals he can full clear. There are crystals he can dip. You know, he could do the front of Swamp, which nobody would do. He could dip the front of Star Wars, which is also kind of terrible when you don't have that sword to finish it. So here he is in a pendant dungeon.
Alright, so we have the big key here, which means we can check the big chest pretty conveniently. I'm always really nervous to see runners have the mirror spot out. Alright, thanks for quick swapping out, John. Yeah, there's probably a reason why Gem finished in 2nd place last year for SGL, and it sounds like 1st place actually for the year before that, so... Alright, item number 1 here in Desert, just a blue rupee.
Yeah, and I have seen chat mention it a few times, but there is an option on the table that, you know, has 4 items behind it. It is Pendant Ice with the green pendant.
Oh, good. What a great option. Alright, look, yeah, so, yeah, I didn't quite actually catching what item that was in Desert, but it looks like it was something that was not worthwhile. But yeah, that is both items at a Desert, correct? If that's the case?
Yeah, that is correct. And we also have Dark Death Mountain. We have 3 items there that are in logic, plus 3 items that Gem can take the old man to as well. But I don't know. That's always a rough check without the hook shot. The option between Dark Death Mountain and Pendant Ice here, it's not the easiest call because there are more in logic items in Ice, but Ice does take a long time to full clear.
Yeah, and so I know with the advent of Icebreaker, runners also don't like to visit Ice Palace, right? Without that kind of scenario.
It certainly feels worse to even if it makes the most logical sense for progression. Okay, so here we see Gem going towards Village of Outcasts. This means he's probably going to do a lot of the overworld checks that tstew has already completed. So this is basically some little bit of catch-up time for tstew if that proves to be correct.
Yeah, so let's see if Jem's gonna end up. So it looks like he's gonna start out with Bumper Ledge, but not touch Skull Woods, or maybe he'll go back. Guess we're gonna see whether or not he goes left or right after this. Alright, looks like we are going right. So this will be, as you said, probably Graveyard Ledge, into King's Tomb, into Catfish, and maybe mirror back out and take the portal down to Ice?
Yeah, that route makes a lot of sense, I think. Mirroring gives you, that nice portal, right? Like the NMG portal that you take right to Ice Palace. So that would make a lot of sense.
All right, tstew here going to give us a new check, which is the pyramid. Oh, and looks like, as you mentioned, correct, this is going to be pretty efficient for him. He's going to visit the pyramid and then mirror right out into escape. Gonna do Uncle first. Glad he remembered now, but in this case, he also did have the mirror, so even if he had remembered kind of like partway through escape, he could have just mirrored out. Hopefully tstew is... Oh no, I guess he is... We're still not able to complete Skull Woods. I was gonna say, if tstew had completed Thieves Town, he could have still done Pyramid Fairy, but we're still missing that sword for that Skull Woods clear.
Yeah, and this play makes a lot of sense for tstew. It's definitely the most dense location he has, and it's something he can full clear, get it off his list. Unfortunately, we know that he's not going to find what he's looking for here, but it is 3 items, and it's not too long to do, so it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, just watching, these runners to, I guess, like, be more resourceful with quick swap and weapons is actually really kind of refreshing to see, despite the fact that I'm sure these runners are more and more antsy about not having a sword.
It doesn't look like Gem's taking our suggestion to go to Ice Palace.
Why don't you listen to us?
It does look like he's probably going to the front of Skull Woods because I don't think there's anything else over here at this point.
I actually don't remember what tstew ended up finding in the front of Skull Woods, but I assume it's nothing of note. Certainly, looking at our tracker's item marks, I don't see anything new on tstew side over compared to Gem's side. Yeah, we see tstew here, just like Gem, has to come all the way over to Zelda Cell in order to claim the last item, because we ended up fighting the map here in Dark Cross. tstew showing his displeasure of the lack of progression found here in Escape.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where tstew goes now. They've basically done very similar checks at this point, and he's going towards the portal near Swamp Palace. So this is a big play for him.
I'm wondering if... Well, this is going to be one of the options potentially that is not particularly appealing. If he's going to take a dive into Crystal Swamp, but without the hook shot. I think he needs to drain the water first. Oh no, tstew. He does seem a little bit calmer, at least from before. We can kind of maybe see things that maybe he's not all the way calmed down.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a great decision. If he feels slightly behind, and he knows anything about Gem's routing style, ooh.
Oh
he,
no! Oh no! Wait, does he only just do like the front of Skullblitz?
yeah.
Oh no, that is not good for tstew. Meanwhile, Gem, I hope he remembers he doesn't have a sword, because he's gonna get to the curtains, and he's not gonna be happy.
I think he's here looking for an item.
Oh, you're right, you're right. I had totally forgotten about this one item here in the back.
So it's definitely interesting that tstew left without finding any item, because it's... And, well, there's a big play for tstew, finding the hookshot in the first chest.
Holy cow. Alright, so we actually have some pretty big plays here for both runners. You saw that tstew getting the hookshot out of the first chest of Swamp, which is absolutely ridiculous. But then also Gem ended up picking up both items. More importantly, he's able to check the pedestal by that new book that he just found. Holy cow.
Yeah, and really there's not much else you can do with that, because everything else you use the book for, requires a sword. Actually, 2 of them.
That's right.
So, yeah, Gem is going to Dark Death Mountain, but like I said, this is... I was saying, like, this is a great play by tstew, because if you know Gem, like, this is probably the last option on the table that Gem would do. And if he felt like he needed to catch up, this is the play to make. And, he got the hook shot. Like, he still is behind that Thieves Town clear, and Gem is, found the cane and has the other things going on, but tstew might have made the play to save his run by coming into Swamp here.
Yeah, no, this is certainly true. As you said, I mean, Gem might actually end up finding it more appealing to go to Green Pendant Ice Palace with 4 items than kind of venturing into Swamp without the hookshot. And tstew is probably much more likely to find a sword. So he'll eventually go back to Skullblitz and find those items, but, we don't actually really know when Gem's gonna kind of end up dipping Swamp. Alright, meanwhile, it looks like tstew here is going to kind of give us some lesser seen screens these days in Swamp Palace, not going to show us Diver Down. But instead of doing the developer intended route of draining the water, he skipped left side, right? I assume.
Yep, he's going straight to the back with his first dip. Remains to be seen. I haven't done the greatest job of counting items either, so I'm not sure how many are left, but we do see a map there.
Gem, really concerned about his safety here, picking up the last shield on Spectacle Rock. Checking out the Ether Tablet, can't get that maximum increased heart container, but probably at this point, 13 hearts, he probably doesn't care.
And the one thing we might see here, if Gem finds a sword, does he dip into Turtle Rock?
Turtle Rock with no ice rod, correct. What are you wishing on your teammate here?
I mean, it's a pain to get up here right now. Gem has no idea where the hookshot is, so if he's here, he's probably going to go in if he finds a sword.
Oh, if he has a sword, that's right. Sorry, missed that part.
Yeah, we have 6 items if Gem can get the hover boots out, so he could find one.
Alright, looks like tstew. Oh man, alright, tstew without that sword has to, I guess, do what we haven't seen for quite a while, which is a menu boss between the hammer and the hookshot. I'm not even sure if Quick Swap can really almost help here, because you have so many items at this point.
No, if you only have, like, hookshot and hammer, then it's fine, but it's actually much worse to Quick Swap, because the boss pauses when you pause, right? So the puffs just start going back, and it's just...
Oh, no. Alright, Gem, undeterred by lack of hookshot, is going to give this an attempt here. Maybe that mirror shield is going to give him some luck as he get the first chest that is accessible only by the hookshot, which is 300 rupees. going to use some bonks here to get. Oh yeah, good for Gem. Game at 57 minutes and 20 some seconds is playable. He found our first sword here at Hookshot Cave. Gem is, well, I assume he was happy, but he's kind of leading in to get that last chest. Oh my gosh! We found our second sword at Hookshot Cave. Holy cow! Gem, I assume he's happy, even though you can't really see him in the darkened light.
Yeah, this is kind of what I expected to have happen. He would get a sequence broken sword and then find himself going into Turtle Rock. So here it goes.
Yeah, Gem did a really nice job hovering for Hookshot Cave there. Didn't fall once. Really solid performance. I wonder what's in that soda that he's, was it melon soda that he's drinking? Didn't quite get it either, but the first time, the second time's the charm for Gem. Good thing he has all that magic and those 2 swords.
There's like different tiers of tricks we do as runners. One, you know, hovering kind of easy, but actually using medallion on a medallion pad, kind of really difficult. Here for us.
And then what's with this new quick swap shenanigans? Is that sometimes you quick swap to the wrong medallion?
Oh, I mean that's an amazing tech that we've actually discovered with quick swap is if you're going to Vitreous and you're setting up for the bow, sometimes you can get out of the dungeon really quickly by mistake. It's a lot of fun. Don't recommend it, but
I was gonna ask, is Vitreous still alive when you leave this dungeon? Because he kind of has a prize that you want, right?
You know, it sometimes, but
okay,
it doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't matter that much.
Gem taking the quicker route here, remembering accurately he still does not have a hook shot, taking the correct route, or the more damageless route through the torch room there to claim his big key. tstew here on Death Mountain, potentially he's going to make the same trip, but he didn't get caught there by the block. He has the hook shot, so he's going to be able to get through this the Hookshot Cave and this dungeon, you know, more traditionally. He will certainly be very happy to see those 2 swords here in Hookshot Cave, but probably not as excited as Gem.
Yeah, but with tstew, he never picked up that Cane of Samaria in Skull Woods. So
oh no, you're right. You're right. You're here for a reason, Korik. You're here for many reasons.
But the good news for him, though, is he is picking up these swords, so I expect him fully to make his next play into Skull Woods, which would give him that Cane of Samaria, and then he'd have the item lead on Gem at that point, unless Gem finds the Ice Rod in here.
Alright, looks like tstew is going to probably end his route here, checking potentially the tablet, and then Spike Cave. And we have not seen Spike Cave yet from Gem, right? Or did we? I must have forgotten.
Gem did Spike Cave as a water, before doing the rest of the mountain.
Yeah, that's right, because ideally he would just end his route here at Turtle Rock. Alright, so we did see in the middle of the key chest, we found the other cane. So, I guess invisibility item, locking an invisibility item.
Yeah, and, you know, we kind of, like, glossed over it, but we are down to the Ice Rod Hunt at this point. Those swords came really quickly, and, yeah, that hookshot surprise, and now we're just down to that Ice Rod Hunt. So, a Gem obviously still needs to make the play in the swamp, but as far as our knowledge goes, we're looking for the Ice Rod, and there are just a whole lot of painful places it can be.
I guess the hope is that we never have to touch Meyer.
Yeah, Ice Palace is a pretty glaring thing right now. tstew, since he's coming back for Skull Woods, getting Thieves Town out of the way makes a lot of sense, but this will at least get the crystal progression caught up between the runners, so be easier to judge where they stand relative to one another. Also, noting that this will combo with Skull Woods into opening up Pyramid Fairy for tstew, so that would be an interesting option for him to do next.
I'm thinking that tstew this time around in Thieves Town is probably going to make sure that the ceiling is bombed. Gem taking advantage of those sword beams for once. Almost getting stashed there. Alright, well, as you see, also quite the difference here in execution. tstew and Gem were both here with 0 swords, but tstew here is back here with the Master Sword. He's able to dash right through these crickets, doesn't have to do any ninja maneuvering to not take damage.
Yeah, so we're about to come up on some pretty important checks for Gem. If he finds the Ice Rod here, that's great for him. Definitely puts him in a decent spot, even without having the hook shot yet. But if the Ice Rod's not here, that really opens the door for tstew. And as I speak...
Oh, correct. You are the best teammate / commentator for Gem. Gem certainly is... Man, we can't see his face. Like, why are all these dungeons in the Dark World so, like there's no light? Anyway, so with that Ice Rod pickup, Gem is going to be able to kill Trinex here as soon as he gets past this incredibly difficult pit and avoid the Lenny Helma Sword to get to Trinex himself.
Yeah, so as I was saying, I mean, this is great for Gem. Now, before this, it was a possibility that tstew could actually single dip Turtle Rock where Gem would have to double dip, but at this point, tstew's hopes rely on Gem last locationing Swamp Palace, and even then, it's rather tough.
Remind me to ask Gem during the interview why there's no more. Why we're taking like active no lamp strats here for his room. All right, Gem here taking down Trinex. Unfortunately, still with that Master Sword, he's gonna do the more commonly seen the Hammer Trinex. Doing some really nice job here. I think that was a 1 cycle. It might have been 2, but it was really nicely done. Taking further advantage of that blue mail that he picked up on Laser Bridge, because, why have mail if you're not going to get hit?
And if 2 swords on Death Mountain weren't enough, we have yet another here on Trinex.
This Death Mountain trope for Gem has been extremely fruitful. 3 swords, Ice Rod, another crystal. If we can see Gem, I'm sure there's a nice smile on his face. We can kind of see that smile. Alright, thanks, Mirror Portal.
Okay, so now we get to see what Gem decides to do. He does have the sword now, looking to finish off the Skullwoods Crystal. This would seem to indicate Pyramid plus Pyramid Fairy is in his near future. Meanwhile, tstew picks up that Cane of Samaria. Doesn't seem all that happy that he got the first hit.
Yeah, I had a guess or two for what that first word out of his mouth was when he found the Cane of Samaria. Probably not SG friendly. But yeah, actually, we're gonna get a high five here from our runners. Both of them are going to get to the back of Skullwoods roughly at the same time. We do actually see here, because Gem ended up killing Trinex, he's going to be having a sword advantage in order to kill Mopula.
Yeah,
now,
can't be understated because the difference between Master Sword and Temper Sword can be pretty huge on Mothula. Now, there are some nice hammer strats you can do, but it does require Mothula to cooperate, so... Oof, that was close.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was actually kind of surprised that tstew didn't end up waiting. But he's the one running and not getting ground, so can't complain. Alright, tstew running a little low on health. No heartbeat so far means that we don't have to panic quite yet. tstew. Alright, that's a really good use there of the potion. actually really thankful that he did use it because he ended up taking another heart of damage. And Korik, as you said, we actually see quite the difference here between that Temper Sword and Master Sword. tstew ended up coming in, I would say, non-trivially earlier to Mothula, but both runners here are Crystal 6. Alright, yes. tstew, remembering that he does have one more item here, he's going to pick up his book. Curious if he's going to check Pedestal? But maybe, you know, given the state of the match, in his mind, maybe he's just not, like, if something's on Ped, it's just, like, not worth it for him.
Yep, it looks like Gem's going to do for Pyramid Fairy. And then after that, it's kind of up in the air. Ice Palace is still a kind of attractive option.
Oh, man. At least he has the hammer.
Yeah, there really aren't attractive options at this point outside of Pyramid Fairy, so it really remains to be seen what Gem decides to do. It really is between the Front of Swamp and Ice Palace, I think, as far as the best options go. So maybe even only options at this point for him.
Yeah, and he doesn't... Right, and they can't get into Mire because we don't know where the Quick Medallion is. So I'm certainly hoping the Quick Medallion isn't here in Pyramid Fairy. Alright. Meanwhile, Gem here is going to give us an attempt, hopefully successful, of bomb duping. Very nicely done. This definitely totally happened as well in his last race.
We do see that tstew is making the play on Pendant Ice. This makes a lot of sense to me. Now, we know that this is not helping him right now. We know that he needs to go to Turtle Rock. But I think tstew, knowing how this has gone for him, you know, with the mishap in Thieves Town and leaving behind the Cane of Samaria, I think he feels like he needs the Ice Rod to be in a place that is not the first place Gem will look. Even with that hookshot play, I think he's thinking that. And you know, I think that's a really good assessment of the situation. Unfortunately, we know that this is just making him fall farther behind, but this is a very reasonable play in the 1v1 situation he finds himself in.
Alright. Yeah, meanwhile, Gem taking the bounties of the Pyramid Fairy with that shovel, going to give us a check for what's in the dig spot. Alright, so now the moment of truth comes for Gem. What is he going to do? He is joining tstew. Alright, so this is not going to be any more time that tstew is going to spend over Gem.
Yeah, and I think this pretty much guarantees Gem last locationing the hookshot. But, you know, I don't think it's uncommon at all to last location the hookshot in the front of Swamp Palace. So, you know, it's... and you can see in this particular situation, Gem seems to be just fine in the race situation.
Yeah, and luckily, at least for us, we're going to get a sneak peek of what's in store for Ice Palace. On tstew's side, looks like he just has a little bit of further progression inside the dungeon. Really nice bomb stress there by Gem. You know, tstew was able to use the hookshot. Gem, not having the hookshot, can't one-shot those pen gators, but has some really nice bomb stress to basically clear out the entire room. Taking advantage as well with that Tempered Sword, spin to kill, spin to win. Alright, demonstration here. Icebreaker on Gem's side. Super smooth. Really nicely done. Alright, we also see tstew kind of taking advantage of this hookshot further. Gem, I'm sure, remembering that he doesn't have a hookshot, he will actually have to bomb his floor his way down to that big chest. And meanwhile, tstew kind of use some minor glitch advantage of being able to move through the blocks after moving with hookshot.
Yeah, we do see tstew making its way to Cold Stare. You know, Ice Palace is a long dungeon, but these runners have made quick work of it. We'll see if we find anything. Hopefully we don't find anything that gets our runners even more off track. He could find Quake here in theory, but I just hope we don't. that would be terrible.
Well, at least the good news is that unless they find Quake, and unless like the items on the trios, they probably don't have to finish Mire because both runners have checked the pedestal and there's nothing there. Okay, so I saw 2 red rupees out of ice. So I assume here at this point, tstew is just going to flute over to Sahashala and turn in that green pendant and hope it's the ice rod.
Yeah, and because Gem is looking for the hook shot, he actually has to bomb jump back over here and drop down from above.
I still think it's really cool to see, even with Icebreaker, these runners, especially Gem, still knows their bomb jumps across ice palaces super well. Poor tstew.
Poor
tstew. That was not quite the reaction we were kind of hoping, or that's certainly not the thing that he wanted to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It does seem like both of our runners are destined to last location their go mode. And really, a lot of the difference in this race has just come down to that whole mishap in Thieves Town, which you hate to see, but sometimes it just happens to be that way.
So what is tstew doing up here in the mountain?
He did not have book when he was up here before,
okay.
Probably grabbing that ether tablet. I guess Bombo's tablet is something he could have done, but gladly skipped that here. Probably just doing ether into Turtle Rock. Gem, I suspect will do Bombo's into Swamp. Oh, after the green pendant, of course.
Okay, so actually this means that tstew is going to be able to, well, if he's heading over to Turtle Rock, this actually be good for him, right? Because this will be his last Crystal Flare?
Yes, it will. He does have the Master Sword here, so, things are slow until he gets through Trinex, but whereas Gem will have probably a minute faster Argus fight than tstew did.
Oh, that's right. You're right, because when tstew, oh no, I'm sorry, Dead Rocks. tstew really not having some good luck here. He got killed by the Dead Rocks and Boulders the first time when he was trying to rescue the old man, and they're just blocking his way to go down.
Yeah, Dead Rocks are awful. That's all there is. Oh, tstew actually executing this medallion opening much better than Gem, saving about 4 seconds over Gem here.
Oh, wow. Ether is expensive. Alright, it looks like Gem is going to spurn the Bombo's tablet, going to go straight here for the Swamp Palace. I am very curious to see his reaction once he finds the hookshot in the first chest.
Yeah, Nax making a really good point in chat here. All the swords were behind hookshot, so hookshot's not going to be on Bombo's tablet.
Oh! Ack!
Pretty smart catch there.
See a slightly faster way of doing torture him there. tstew having hookshot. Taking out the cape here so he doesn't worry about these rollers. Alright, and let's see, looks like hour, 16 minutes, and 20 seconds. Gem is shaking his head, but he is officially smiling, happy in go mode. Well, hopefully he's happy. Go mode Swamp Palace will be certainly much faster.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot going through his head right at this moment. He just last location go mode. Now, it could have been worse in some ways, in that if he had to come in here for the hookshot, he would have done a lot more without swords. He might, there's a way you route this seed where you end up doing all of Pendant Ice swordless, right? So there are things that could have gone worse, but he also is probably thinking, wow, if my opponent made this play really early, they could have had a free seed, and I might be looking for a dot done at any point.
Oh, those chain chomps were not friendly to tstew. Sorry. You know, tstew here, you know, so despite the fact that tstew has, what, like 16 hearts, you know, like, that actually can be, he unfortunately only has free mail here in Turtle Rock, and having this many hearts and no heart peeps is actually somewhat of a false sense of security, because every enemy just hits so hard.
Yeah, a large majority of the enemies in here do 4 hearts of damage to green mail, so it's always a little bit tense when you're coming through here. Really a place where a lot of subtle execution is really important. And being on Master Sword doesn't help things. Temper Sword does a lot of stuff in here for you. So it's a little bit unfortunate.
And he just needs to get to Trinex with that Ice Rod, kill Trinex, and then come back and clear this dungeon. Got it. Alright, meanwhile, we're seeing a pretty significant difference here between, as you said, tstew's Argus fight with no sword, and Gem's Argus fight with the Tempered Sword. It just actually looks like barely missed the 0 cycle. Really still nicely done.
Yeah, a really nice fight from Gem there, and with that, Gem picks up his 7th crystal.
I saw some chat here by P-Flan and Ack pointing out that actually it looks like Gem actually did not end up being Parent Fairy at all, because Parent Fairy looks like also was locked behind a sword.
Yeah, that is correct.
Since we saw Woods, yeah. Oh man, alright, sorry. I see a bunch of numbers in chat. Yeah, so while Gem is climbing Death Mountain before he hits Ganon's Tower, we like to play a little game. Try and guess the number between 1 and 22. Try and guess the location of where you think the GT big key is before Gem finds it.
A lot of guesses coming in. I see a bunch of 22s. That's very kind of you, Chad.
Yes, I should also clarify, only integer numbers between 1 and 22 inclusive. No decimals, no irrationals, no fractions. No expressions, please. Yeah, we can also see it here. Gem, you know, I'm sure he would have liked to find a sword a little bit sooner if he just dashed through these enemies, especially with the Temper Sword. He can just dash right through those Lionels. They won't stop him. Alright, so assuming Gem takes his somewhat more normal GT route, what he's going to do is he's going to go right to Hope Room and hope that the big key is here. If not, and if there's a small key, he's going to proceed and go to the Compass Room. If not, he's going to go left. Alright, chest number 1, GT is closed. Alright, is the compass, finds the slightly displaced friend mail. No GT big key needed for it, but because there's no small key, he can't go further right. He is going to go further left to Southwest Room and south.
Green 20 on the torch. That's a funny place.
Sure. I see Jeff smirking a little to see that. I think it's actually his last seed. He had the green 20 on Lumberjack, so. Alright, so I think that did count as check number 3. 4 is a small key, 5 is a piece of heart. 6 is the GT big key with also that small key. He is out of here. Doesn't even need to check that last chest. He has exactly 1,000 rupees. That's cute. Curious if he, you know, wanted to check that last one for potentially silvers, but you know, I think he's more than satisfied with what his damage output here is.
Meanwhile, tstew is taking on Trinex now. Since Gem has found the big key, he definitely has to have some things go in his favor or things go against Gem, like maybe really messing up Mimics too, to catch up here. But we do see a nice Trinex fight here.
Yeah, Jem, meanwhile, making his way through the gauntlet. He did have some getting through the cannonball here, cannonball room here just as fine. He has Temper Sword, Red Mail, arrows. You know, this is very reminiscent of NMG. He just has a little bit more safety to work with. tstew smiling, of course, to see that Temper Sword. I'm sure that he wished he had that earlier. But hey, with this, he has picked up his 7th crystal. He is going to be right behind Jem in order to find his GT Big Key. And so if he, because the GT Big Key was in Stalfo's room, he decides to go left first, he actually could gain a little bit more time back.
Yeah, absolutely. That could. It's not much, and he would be passing up the red mail, but the red mail, he has blue mail now. Not a big deal. Blue mail, 16 hearts. I don't think he's going to miss the red mail, so it would be nice if he went left first.
Oh no, Jem. Alright, so, tstew kind of has a better pattern here for Limbo too. He could also get a little bit more time from Jem. Limbo was unfortunately just short hopping their way through, so couldn't quite help with the 0 cycle. See Jem taking a breather here. Alright, looks like tstew is going to follow here, at least in Jem's footsteps. There was no small key here, so he's going to follow basically the exact same path as Jem. Looks like Jem opting to use Lamp plus Fire Rod in hopes that he's going to be able to save and have enough magic to do torches here. Or I guess he's going to just still pick up the magic refill. I think he was probably hoping that he didn't need to pick up the magic refill down there, but probably just not enough magic.
Yeah, I think he might have had enough, but probably just wanted to be sure, which is a nice safety.
tstew, for the fans here, giving us a check for that last one for the 7th item was in GT. Just 50 rupees, so no silver arrows probably for our runners today. Jem facing off against our 2nd favorite Trolldorm, or Moldorm there.
And we see a bug net. It's an interesting thing for Ganon to put at the top of his tower. Very useful.
Considering there are no fairies left, I guess, between now and Ganon. I guess you can always bonk the tree if you really wanted one, but given that Jem has 15 hearts and Red Mail, I really don't see him getting any more safeties.
Jem showing us how to execute Aga 2. We got a 1 and a 1.
He's helping us how to count. I understand.
Oh, we got a 2. We got a 2.
Jem also showing us that Sahashala, actually, if you end up talking to him and a hint tile tells you that you cannot damage the wizard with just the sword, you have to reflect the beams in order to damage him.
Got the classic 11211 for Jem.
That's a zip code, right? That's good. Meanwhile, tstew is making his way through the gauntlet. He'll be at Limbo 2 fairly shortly, as Jem drops down to Ganon. Well, this looks like some nice board patterns for Ganon. Jem has found a really nice corner, or pseudo corner to kind of nestle himself into, kind of minimizing the knockback that Ganon gives you when you slash him with the sword. And already it looks like he's on phase 3. Ganon just needs to stand still so Jem can continue to slash at him. Oh no, tstew though. Kind of unfortunate there. Normally you can get the King of Samaria to kind of hit all of them with +1 sword, but looks like tstew just had a slight mishap.
And Gem electing to use the lamp strats for the torch glitch. It's definitely a lot more safe for peace of mind than using the fire rod.
A torch glitch is not necessary when you have half magic, but yeah, as you said, peace of mind, especially in high stakes tournament races as this, every little bit I'm certainly is helping. tstew checking one potential final chest for silvers, not quite.
And with that, Ganon falls, and Gem hopefully doesn't fall and walks through the bridge here as our winner for this matchup.
Yeah, no, 12 great spins there by Gem, waiting for this fanfare, crossing that 1x3 bridge. Get your GGs out in chat for Gem. Finished first place in this race with an official time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 14 seconds. GG's, Gem.
Yeah, a really great performance. Last location go mode for both of our runners, but Gem finished sub 130. tstew just going to be slightly over. Really good performance. Just really came down to that Thieves Town mishap and kind of the things that branched off from there. Not having the swords was also a pretty big issue with Argus. Gem being able to hover actually ended up with a pretty huge advantage from that. Not always getting a huge advantage from hovering outside of like a Moldorm 2 hover, but this one really did with the Argus fight.
Alright, meanwhile, looks like tstew is going to quickly drop into Ganon, going to take on his side. Hopefully this will also be just as quick and clean as Gem's fight. Alright, equally nicely nestled corner, even more so. It looks like he's opting for spin strats. Really, not many knockback here. Now, Ganon's sport patterns are fixed between our two runners, so it's not like tstew or Gem will have an advantage over the other in terms of number of forks. You can see that tstew's already entering phase 4 relatively quickly. Also, the guest torch glitch. He is well on his way to get through 12 silverless spins.
Unfortunately, getting Blue Ganon there, that was really tight timing. He was a little bit late with the torch hit, so the window to actually get a silverless hit there was pretty tight. He went for it. Understandable, but just missed out a little bit.
Alright, final silverless spin down for tstew. He just needs to get through his fanfare and cross his bridge, hopefully he doesn't fall, and then he will end up finishing in second place in our race today with an official time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 53 seconds. Get your GGs out in chat for tstew. Both these runners put on a really great race.
Yeah, and we are joined by both of our runners. GGs.
GGs, Gem. GGs, tstew.
GG's, dude.
GG's, Gem.
Thoughts about the seed, guys? How are the swords? Treat you.
Yeah, not very well. Could have come a little bit earlier, like maybe 50 minutes.
Yeah, we made quite a few jokes about the swords and what you could be doing if you had them, but you didn't. You just didn't have swords.
I sure didn't, yeah. And then they came all at once, 3 of them, within like 5 minutes.
Yeah, in fact, so when you found your swords, Gem, you didn't have the hook shot because they were in the first chest of swamp. And so when you hovered your way to two swords, we got super excited. And of course, tstew, deciding to find the hook shot earlier, just got the swords kind of more traditionally.
Yeah, I saw you guys were discussing the race afterwards, and it was really close. And I do feel it did come down to that mishap in Thieves Town, and probably the sword difference on Argus was also pretty significant. And outside of that, it was really just minor differences. So just a really good race, and a little bit unfortunate there, tstew, with that Thieves Town.
Yeah, I guess so Kurik and I were, kind of like postulating what might have happened. Do you guys have any ideas? You just ended up kind of like misaligning yourself and you ended up throwing the bomb? Or?
I went back to watch it and I just threw the bomb too high and it just didn't hit the floor.
Yeah,
damn, that sucks.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate because I certainly remember watching that. I was like, the floor looks still pretty white. Like it I didn't see the normal black that I was kind of used to. So yeah, I mean, did that end up kind of influencing the the rest of your decisions at all?
It made me feel like I was very behind. So it probably made me go into swamp a bit earlier than otherwise, but I think it affected me a bit.
Yeah, I feel like the swamp play really worked out for you. At that point, Jem had not yet found the ice rod. He was working his way, I believe, through Turtle Rock, or about to. So it was definitely a play that could have really, got you back in it. So I respect that play, because that was, knowing the situation where you were, that was a really good play.
Yeah, honestly, I just got really stupid lucky. Because,
I was gonna ask about Turtle Rock and how you felt after you fought.
Yeah, like I just go up there and then I hover to the swords, and then Ice Rod also is in TR. Like it's just insanely lucky and really stupid, and I feel kind of bad about it, honestly.
John, speaking of which, so I want to know why there were like no lights in your room at all. Like we couldn't even see your reaction. Like when you found the ice rod into the rock, like we had to wait for the mirror portal in order to see like any type of like smile on your face.
Well, when the race started, it was still light outside. It's just why I didn't have a light on. I was planning to turn on light at some point during the race, but then I got, so focused that I noticed very late that it was actually dark outside already.
Oh, that's right, because you're in Germany, so
yeah,
it's evening already.
So time zones actually are a thing, so that makes sense.
Yes, there's proof of time zones here, right on stream.
Okay, so any final thoughts on the seed from either of you?
Earlier thoughts next time, please.
So Jem, you are definitely moving on. tstew, it looks like might be certainly this is probably the last tournament run for this year, but hopefully we'll see you in other tournaments. How are you feeling, Jem? You get to face the winner of AC and Hayfield Bay?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They're both really good runners. Rooting a bit more for my man AC. Maybe also you can tell by my file names. But
yes.
I'm happy to face either because they're both cool guys.
Yeah, certainly that would be quite the match to look up for, and hopefully that'll get scheduled as soon as AC finishes up with Hayfield. So I think sounds like we're gonna have to wrap things up on our side. Don't go anywhere. We have another Link to the Past round 16 match coming up on this channel. Immediately following this is going to be Tam versus P-Train, two also really good runners. Should also be just as exciting. So Don't go anywhere. Korek, thank you so much for commentating this with me. It was a blast. Thank you, Cyberchild X, for tracking for us, doing all the hard work behind the scenes. Jem and tstew, thank you so much for putting on such a great race, and best of luck moving forward, Jem.